What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Yegi Beauty channel. I am Yegi. I'm the owner and founder of Yegi Beauty, which is a product line, eyelash education company, and also we do eyelash extension services. So we've been doing this for 15 years about now, and I really enjoy making these videos for you. It's been a minute since we released a video, but I finally got some time to do it. With that said, please support our eyelash extension lash artist community by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Today's tutorial is a little bit advanced lashing, and of course it is highly requested Wispy Set, okay? It is a wispy cat eye look that we are gonna break down, and honestly, it took us a little bit of trial and error and testing to find the best mapping, or at least my favorite mapping for a nice wispy set. Make sure you watch the video fully so you can get all the secrets, because although wispy sets may have been around for a while, they are actually becoming kind of fine-tuned. And if you've been the lash artist who's been guessing, why does my wispy sets not look like all the other perfect ones that I see with the pictures? I am putting long pieces. I am going to tell you guys the secret. And the secret is we are going to lash in layers for the spikes, okay? So what we're gonna do is the first layer of the eyelashes, which is the top layer, we're going to put the longer lengths, which will be our spikes and which will give us the wispiness. And the rest of the layers, we're gonna go ahead and put in the shorter lengths. So we did a lot of testing to find a perfect length distance for a nice wispy set, okay? And that is, the magic number is 2 millimeters when the spikes are applied on the top layer of the natural lashes. Now, a lot of times 2 millimeters may seem little for a spike, but if it's put on the top layer, you will see it noticeably. So let me map that out so you guys can have an idea of what we're talking about, but you'll also see it in details in the tutorial. Also for this set, we are using the Yegi Beauty matte mink lashes, okay? So these are the 0.05 thickness in C-curl. They are not easy fanning, they're loose eyelashes, and we're using them to make our own handmade fans. Now the spikes they're bunched together to create a spike, you'll see in the tutorial. And for the fans, we're using about 3 to 4 lashes to fan them out in a fan to give it a light volume in between the spikes. So first thing I'm gonna map out is our top layer, because that's how we would isolate the eyelashes first. And you'll see that technique in the video. We're gonna tape all the eyelashes out of the way and only leave the top layer out. Now within that top layer of eyelashes, we are doing a cat eye, so we're still gonna go from short to long. In each section, we're gonna put about 3 to 4 spikes. So the top layer of eyelashes, we chose to start from 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So this is like a nice medium length, okay? So this is where, these are the lengths we're gonna put within the spikes. And then within that length, we're gonna put about, like I said, 3 to 4 spikes. So I'll probably put 1, 2, 3 in this area. I'll probably put 3 in that, and then it gets more as we go for a cat eye, okay? So then I'll put 4 in the 11, I'll put 4 in the 12, and it will vary a little bit based on your client. If clients have bigger eyes, then you'll probably visually see that you want to put more spikes in there. But you really want to space them out about 3 millimeters apart, okay? For it to be visible, not to be too close and not to be too far. So that will be our first layer, and each red line you see, this is where we're putting those bunch of the eyelashes together. And by bunch, I mean like maybe 3 or 4 of the 0.05 thickness eyelashes. So they're basically gonna look like a classic eyelash, but they're bunched together. They're actually the thin volume eyelashes, not fanned out. So that will be the first layer, okay? So the top layer. For the rest of the layers of the eyelashes, we're going to use shorter lengths, and also we're fanning them out. So they won't be spikes, they will be fanned out eyelashes, okay? So the sections, we want to keep it pretty consistent of the width and apart they are. So where the 9s are, we're going to do 2 millimeters shorter. Remember, we talked about that. So we will start with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And for some of you, this may seem like, oh, that's too short, too long, but overall, this look is about a medium size length for the average person. So within each section, we will put in our 3 to 4D handmade light volume fans. And again, we're using the Yegi matte mink eyelashes to make those fans. Now you can create this look using any eyelashes, but definitely try to keep your fans in between nice and light and not too dense, so your spikes and your wispiness can stand out. If these become too dense, then the wispiness sometimes hides in there. So I think that's also kind of a little trick and a secret with wispy sets. Here's our beautiful model before eyelash extensions. So what we do first is when we get our clients, we look at their eye shape and their eyelashes to determine the design for their eyes. For her, we decided to do a wispy set, and we are going to stay on the medium length size for the wispy pieces, and the rest of them we're going to keep it pretty short since she doesn't have a lot of a distance between her eye and eyelid and her eyebrows. We don't want to go too long in order to actually enhance her eyes without it looking kind of silly. So the lengths we chose to use for the spikes is 9 through 13, and as you guys can see, we are mapping that out, and then in between we're going to fill it with a lot shorter lengths, which is 7 through 11. Now, just like any set, we are going to tape down her bottom eyelashes. We like to use under eye patches and tape to hold it all down. However, you can use only tape or only under eye patches, whatever you feel more comfortable with. But the goal is to not let any of the bottom lashes sneak up so they don't get stuck to the top when we're lashing. Next, we're going to go ahead and layer out her top lashes. So this is called lashing in layers. And there are a few reasons why we would lash in layers. But for today's model, the reason why we're lashing in layers is because we want to put those spikes on the top layer of her eyelashes. Now, I've tried many different ways to do spiky or wispy eyelashes, and recently this is kind of the best way to go, is isolating the top layer of the natural eyelashes and putting the longer spikes on that layer. And a little secret is you only want to go about 2 millimeters longer in that top layer for the spikes, and it would give it the best effect for a nice wispy set. We literally did a lot of testing on our dolly head. We put the longer pieces in the bottom layer, mixed in between, and this was the one that we had the best results with. And the longer the difference between the top layer spikes and the other lashes, the more your spikes will stand out. So if you want your spikes to stand out a little more, you can do them 3 millimeters longer than the rest. If you want them to be pretty subtle, you could do them only like 1 millimeter than the rest. But also because it's on the top layer of the eyelashes, it's gonna appear to be longer anyway. So although it's only 2 millimeters is what we're going with compared to the other lashes, you will still see a very nice result at the end with the spikes. Now for the spikes, we are using regular loose volume eyelashes. This is the Yegi Matte Mink 0.05 thickness eyelashes. We are using about 4 to 5 in a bunch without fanning them out, so they're just bunched together almost like a classic eyelash to create these spikes. And we're putting about 3 to 4 spikes in each area. So if you see that section that's sectioned out as 13, there's about 4 spikes in that area. Same with the section 12, about 4. And we want to spread them out evenly to give it a nice effect. But with putting in spikes, another trick is at the end, we are going to check, make sure they look balanced, and add or remove spikes as needed. Because sometimes when the eyes are closed, they don't look exactly how they would when they're open. Now, if you pay attention, we also taped up the lid in order to be able to see that layer of eyelashes, and that is really important. If you feel like you cannot see the base of the natural eyelashes of where you're gluing the extensions, make sure you use tape to tape it up, okay? If you also are using tape, another important factor is you want to be able to pull it up enough where the eyelashes lift, but not too much where the eye is slightly open, because that will cause it to get irritated or discomfort for the client. Now, when we're done placing the spikes throughout the eye, we do want to check, make sure they're all sitting nice and straight. If anything is bending to the side, we want to replace it. Everything should be pointing nice and straight and up, not tilting left and right. And afterwards, we're going to go ahead and relieve that under eye patch to let go of that first layer. Now for the rest of the eyelashes, we're going to do a new mapping in order to put in the shorter lengths to give that wispy effect. Now for the volume fans in between the spikes, what we're using is we're still using those matte mink eyelashes in the 0.05 thickness, and we're only using about 4 to 5 eyelashes to fan them out into nice light fans. We don't want to do anything heavy for this client. She didn't want anything too full. So the lashes in between, especially that she has a lot of natural eyelashes and they're nice and dark, we only need to use about 4 to 5 in order to create that fan. Now, if she had very thin eyelashes and we wanted to fill them in more, in that case we might have used 6 or 7 eyelashes to create that fan. And then always remember, if we're creating bigger and bigger fans, we want to use thinner eyelashes in order to make sure they're not going to be too heavy for that one natural eyelash. We still want to follow that rule of thumb of the base of the extension doesn't want to be more than double the thickness of the client's natural eyelashes to not weigh it down and damage it. That's always super important to keep your work nice and clean. Speaking of keeping your work nice and clean, I didn't mention in this video, but I mention in almost all my videos because it's super duper important. We do want to work on our isolation. We want to make sure anytime we're gluing an extension on, if it's a single extension or a fan, we are gluing it on one single natural eyelash. We do not want any of the natural eyelashes to be stuck together because that's when we can cause damage. And when things are stuck together also, that's when a client may feel them and be kind of more at a discomfort. So if you want to have perfect work on your isolation. Take your time, even though in the beginning it may feel like it's taking forever to isolate every single eyelash. I promise you, with practice, it will definitely get faster and easier. So focus on quality, your speed will come. One other thing I would like to point out is in this video, you can see a technique for isolation, and the place the eyelashes are placed are normally a little bit different than what I like and what I usually train all my eyelash technicians to do. But if this works better for you, here's a good example that you can try. What she likes to do is she likes to use her finger and also the tweezers to help her isolate for the fan. So pay attention to that. Then that may be something that works for you better for isolating compared to only using the tweezers. And also for the placement of the lash strips where she's grabbing it, she likes to have it on her wrist. I don't know if you guys noticed that in one clip, but that's also something you can try instead of the forehead or next to you on the lash bed. Every little thing matters with eyelash extensions, and all the little things can doesn't necessarily have to be the same for everybody. Now, I personally prefer to put the eyelashes on the forehead because I feel like that, of course, with the lash holder or a tissue, because I feel like that speeds up my process. But I do want to give you guys different options. That's why I allow a lot of my lash artists also to record, and we can learn from each other. Now you do want to go ahead and put an extension or a extension fan on almost every single one of the client's natural eyelashes. That's how they're going to last longer, and that's how they're going to kind of have a very nice effect. If the client has a lot of eyelashes, like I said, we use smaller fans, but we still want to lash almost every single lash so they can last longer. If you just end up putting bigger fans, but you're not putting it on almost every single one of the client's lashes, then that could be a reason for your retention or the reason why they're not lasting long. Because remember, every day we shed 1 to 5 natural eyelashes, and if there isn't enough to start off with, after a week or so, the lashes are going to start looking sparse. So if a client has a lot of natural lashes, you still want to lash most of the lashes, just put smaller fans so they don't look too crazy full unless that's what they're looking for. The tweezers that we are using are the Yegi A-line gold tweezers. We're using the moon-shaped one to isolate, and we are using the boot-like one to apply. Now she is left-handed, so you could see she's isolating with her right hand and applying with her left. Now if you're right-handed, you would do the opposite. You would isolate with your left hand and apply with your right. So your dominant hand is always applying and creating the fans. Now we're going to go ahead and fill in the other eye. We have already put in our spikes right after we did the first eye, and then we're going to now fill it in with the volume fans in between. Now keep in mind, for our volume fans, we're doing small fans, 4 to 5D in each fan, in order to keep them nice and fluffy and not have them kind of overtake the wispy pieces. Always make sure you are isolating. Again, just to recap, we are using our tweezers to isolate and also our finger. Besides that, we are using tape to lift up the eyelid to make our life easier to see the base of the eyelashes. Another key thing is we never want to glue the eyelash on the skin or too close to the eyelid. It should be at least like 1 millimeter apart or 0.5 millimeter, so you don't have it being stuck to the eyelid. You want to see tiny bit of a distance, because that's going to make sure that it is going to be bonded with the eyelash and not the skin. This will help with retention and for long lasting and comfort, and you will avoid any type of infections. We are about done. We do want to use a mirror to make sure they look nice and even and there's no holes or spare parts, especially with the spikes. And like I said, after we untape and the client's eyes are open, we do want to double check for those spikes and see that they are even. Sometimes we may need to add or remove some after the eyes are open, so I like to do that before I show the set to the client, because spikes can be a little tricky no matter how evenly you space them out. So for this client, we are taping one little area in order to add 1 or 2 more spikes. This is kind of my secret taping technique, also to get in the inner corners if they are hard to reach when the whole eye is taped. We only tape that little inner part, and we use 2 layers of white tape or the blue sensitive tape and 1 layer of the clear tape. And like this, you could see the inner corners better and really add the eyelashes in there. Now we are also using the sensitive blue tape to kind of pull out the eyelid from the inner corner towards the outer corner in order also to see those tiny inner corners better. And it's kind of another common mistake lash artists make if they work on one eye at a time. The second eye that they work on always ends up being a little bit less full, so make sure you do double check and add more if needed.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out. Tonight, we gonna let it.
We are now really checking to see if the spikes are even in that area. Something kind of looked off, so we're comparing both of the eyes and really trying to make that right eye look similar to the left eye, and sometimes that takes going back and forth a little bit, so take your times with the spikes. It's better to make them as perfect as possible rather than rush through them. We are going to finish the set up with the Yegi Super Bonder to set them and make sure they last a long time. And here's the final results. I hope you guys love this set as much as I do. A nice light wispy set. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, please join our community by even just subscribing, but also follow our other channels. Comment below. We answer almost all our comments, all our emails. We're here to support you. And don't forget, we also have an academy education if you want to invest in this, as you know, get all the knowledge as you need. Besides the YouTube videos, we have lots of options for you. So feel free to reach out and let's support each other. Have a great day.